I want you to imagine opening your passport to the main identification page. Scan the edges with your eyes. Imagine there is a tiny tear, no bigger than a hanging nail, right on the edge of the paper. To you, this might look like normal wear and tear from a life well-traveled. It looks like a memory. But to the new 2026 border scanners, this tiny imperfection is a red flag that just destroyed a $10,000 vacation. I hate telling you this story, but I have to because it keeps happening. Last week, right at the boarding gate in Atlanta, I watched a couple in their 60s get denied boarding. They had their tickets. Their bags were already loaded in the belly of the plane. They had made it through the security checkpoint perfectly fine. But when the gate agent did the final document check for their international flight to Italy, she noticed a minuscule tear on the photo page of the husband's passport. And just like that, it was over. The couple was crying. They were pleading. They kept saying that they had used this passport for 5 years without a single issue. And my heart broke for them. Because if this were 5 or 6 years ago, a human agent might have looked at that and decided to let it slide. They might have used their discretion. But friends, we are not in the past anymore. We are settled into 2026, and the landscape of travel has fundamentally changed. The era of human discretion is largely over. The era of biometric precision is here. The borders of the world are no longer guarded by people who can show mercy. They are guarded by algorithms, electronic gates, and high-definition scanners that are programmed to reject anything less than perfection. If you are over 45, and if your passport has been sitting in a drawer for a few years, or worse, carried around in your back pocket, you are walking into a minefield. Today, I am going to walk you through the hidden defects, the invisible damage, and the new digital rules that could leave you stranded on the wrong side of the security glass. This isn't just about expiration dates anymore. This is about ensuring that your documents can survive the scrutiny of a machine. Welcome aboard. If we haven't met before, I have spent the last 7 years wearing this uniform, serving you at 35,000 feet. I have seen the sunrise over the Pacific more times than I can count, and I consider myself your eyes and ears on the inside of the industry. My job isn't just to pour your coffee or help you with your bags. It is to make sure you get where you are going safely and with your dignity intact. And right now, I am worried. I am seeing more experienced travelers get turned away at the border than ever before in my career. The rules have tightened, and nobody sent you the memo. So, visualize your passport in your mind, or go grab it if you are home, because we need to perform a forensic audit together right now. The first thing we need to discuss is something you cannot see with the naked eye, but it is the #1 reason I see people get pulled into that terrifying little windowless room at customs. It is the death of the invisible chip. Since the mid-2000s, passports have had a small rectangular camera icon printed on the front cover. That symbol means there is a sensitive RFID chip embedded in the back cover of your book. That chip contains your biometric data, your digital photo, your fingerprints, and your information. In 2026, when you land in London or Dubai or Tokyo, or even return home to the US, you are likely directed to an automated gate. You scan your passport, the gates open, and you walk through. But here is the problem. That chip is incredibly fragile. Think about how you treat your passport. Do you put it in your back pocket and then sit down on it for a 3-hour taxi ride? Do you shove it into a tight purse next to your sharp car keys? Have you ever accidentally left it in a jacket that went through a gentle wash cycle, or maybe just got a little damp in the rain? You might look at the book and think it is fine because the pages are dry and the photo looks clear. But if you have bent the back cover or exposed it to extreme heat by leaving it in the glove compartment of your car or crushed it under heavy luggage, you may have severed the antenna of that chip. When you get to the electronic gate, the machine will try to read it, and it will fail. It will flash red. It will say read error. Now, you might think you can just go see an officer. But in some countries, a passport with a non-functioning chip is immediately flagged as potentially fraudulent. They assume you damaged it on purpose to hide your identity. You will be taken to secondary screening, you will be questioned, and you could miss your connecting flight. Before you fly, you can actually test this yourself. If you have a modern smartphone, You can download a free NFC reader app. Hold your phone against your passport cover. If it beeps and reads the data, you are safe. If it is silent, that document is a liability. Moving on from the invisible damage, let's talk about the rule that ruins more retirement trips than anything else. It is the 6-month validity trap. Imagine this scenario. Today is January 1st. You look at your passport and it expires on July 1st. You think to yourself that you have plenty of time. You are only going to Paris for 2 weeks in February. You have months to spare. So you pack your bags, you get to the airport, and the airline staff tells you that you cannot fly. This is the hardest conversation I have to have with passengers. Most countries, including the entire Schengen area in Europe, Mexico, Thailand, and many others, require your passport to be valid for at least 6 months beyond your planned date of departure from their country. They want to ensure that if you get sick, or have an accident, or get stuck there for any reason, your document won't expire while you are their guest. The systems in 2026 are fully automated. When you try to check in online or at the kiosk, the computer calculates the dates instantly. If you have 5 months and 29 days left, it locks you out. There is no supervisor to override it. It is a hard stop. Please, check your expiration date right now. Do the math. If you are cutting it close, do not risk it. Renewal times can fluctuate, and you do not want to be staring at your suitcase in your living room when you should be sipping wine in Tuscany. Now, we need to address something a bit more personal, but equally critical in this age of facial recognition. It is the issue of biometric mismatch. Passports are valid for 10 years. 10 years is a long time. A decade ago, your hair might have been a different color. You might have been 20 pounds heavier or lighter. You might not have needed glasses. Now, looking in the mirror, you might look fantastic. Maybe you have embraced your natural gray hair, or maybe you have lost weight. To a human, you look great, but the border cameras do not care about your style. They care about the geometry of your face. They measure the distance between your pupils, the structure of your cheekbones, and the shape of your jawline. If you have undergone significant changes, such as major weight loss, cosmetic surgery, facial trauma, or even if you have added or removed a significant number of facial piercings or tattoos, the algorithm might not recognize you. When the machine cannot match your live face to the 10-year-old photo on the chip, the gates slam shut. You are flagged for manual review. I have seen passengers held up for hours because the officer wasn't convinced the person standing there was the person in the book. If you look at your passport photo and you genuinely feel like it looks like a different person, like a distant cousin rather than you, it is time to renew it, even if it hasn't expired. It saves you the stress of having to prove your identity while tired and jet-lagged. Speaking of the book itself, let's talk about the pages inside. This is for those of you who have been lucky enough to travel frequently. You might look at your passport and feel proud of all those stamps. It looks like a travel diary. But those stamps consume space. Some countries, specifically places like South Africa, require 2 entirely blank visa pages side by side to let you in. And when they say blank, they mean pristine. A tiny stamp on the corner of a page means that page is used. I have seen passengers denied boarding because the agent flipped through their book and couldn't find enough empty real estate for the entry visa. You cannot add pages to a passport anymore. That service was discontinued years ago. If you are running low on space, you need a new book. Do not assume they will just find a spot. They won't. They will just deny you entry, and the airline will be fined for bringing you, which is why we check so rigorously before you even step on the plane. Now, I want to pivot to something that is specific to domestic travel within the United States, but it causes just as much panic. It is the Real ID requirement. For years, we heard about the deadline being pushed back. It became a bit of a joke, but that grace period is gone. As of May 2025, the enforcement became strict. If you are using your driver's license to fly from New York to Florida or Chicago to Los Angeles, take it out of your wallet right now. Look at the top right corner. Is there a star? It might be a gold star, a black star, or a star inside a circle. But there must be a star. If your license says federal limits apply, or not for federal identification, You cannot use it to pass through TSA security. It does not matter if you have used that same license for 40 years. Without the Real ID star, you are not flying unless you have a passport or another federally approved ID with you. I see so many seniors who have stopped driving or who just renew their license by mail without upgrading to Real ID because it requires a trip to the DMV. Please, do not find out about this while standing in the security line with your shoes off. Check for the star today. There is another aspect of physical damage that we touched on in the beginning, but I want to expand on because it is so common. We call it the "dog ate my homework" clause. Your passport is an official government document. It commands respect. If the cover is separating from the pages, if there is water damage that has made the pages crinkly or wavy, if there is mold because it was stored in a damp basement, or if your grandchild decided to draw a little smiley face on page 7, that document is invalid. You might think a little water stain is fine as long as you can read the name. But Border Control views a damaged passport as a potentially tampered passport. They suspect someone has tried to alter it. I once had to tell a passenger they couldn't fly because their passport had gone through the washing machine. The ink was legible, but the book was swollen and the laminate was peeling. Security will not take the risk. Keep your passport in a dry, safe place. Treat it like the valuable asset it is. Finally, there is one page in your passport that won't stop you from flying, but leaving it blank is a risk you should never take. It is the emergency contact page. Open your passport to page 4 or 5. Is it pencil written or is it empty? I check hundreds of passports a month, and 90% of them are blank. If you have a medical emergency mid-flight, if you faint, or if you are involved in an accident overseas and you are unconscious, that page is the only way we know who to call. It is not digital. It is analog and immediate. Please, write down the name and phone number of your spouse, your adult child, or a trusted friend. Write it in pencil so you can change it if needed. Add your blood type or any life-threatening allergies. It takes 10 seconds to fill out, but it could save your life, or at least ensure your loved ones are notified instantly if something goes wrong. Travel is supposed to be about freedom. It is about exploring the world and enjoying the fruits of your labor. But that freedom relies entirely on the validity of the documents you carry. The new systems in 2026 are efficient, but they are cold and unforgiving. They do not care about your excuses or your memories. They only care about the data. So here is my request to you. When this video ends, do not just close the screen. Go find your passport, turn on the light, put on your reading glasses, check the expiration date and add 6 months to your travel dates. Feel the back cover for chip damage. Look for that star on your license. Check for any tears or fraying. A 5-minute check today can save you from a nightmare tomorrow. We are building a community here of smart, savvy travelers who look out for each other. If you have ever had a scare with your documents, or if you have a tip I missed, please leave a comment below. Your experience helps everyone else fly safer. And if you found this helpful, consider subscribing to join the family. I want to see you on board, relaxed and ready for your adventure, not stressed at the gate. Stay safe, travel smart, and I will see you in the skies.